Hi there, Starscream here. Yes, 2 reviews in 1 week. Now that's not bad. I have a day off today, so I'm quite happy about that. And I thought, because I'm nice to you guys, because I like you guys a little bit. Not a lot though, not a great deal. Actually a very small amount. Actually I'm not really that keen on any of you, but I've got a little bit of time to kill today, and I've got to wash my courtesy car, and I'm dreading it. I don't like washing other people's cars. There's no fun in that, is there? Before I go on, some people ask me what my car was and what happened to it. Well, I can show you exactly what happened to it. See, now you see what the problem is. I run myself over. Hey, if I run myself over, doesn't that mean I'm... Oh, shit. I'm not dead. That was quite a terrifying experience. That was being dead there for a moment and then coming back again. I'm not sure what's going on with that. But no. Should we get onto the thing in hand? The Transformer, which is quite literally in my hand. And it is Transformers Prime Wheeljack. And he's called Prime Wheeljack because he's Prime. Do you remember in Beast Wars when Optimus Prime used to go, "That's just Prime"? Well, what he really meant is things that are good he's going to call Prime. No, it's not that at all, it's what the name of the show is. And if you want to know my feelings of that, you can see my review, because I have done a review of the first 2 episodes, if I can sort of like shoehorn that little bit, so you might watch that video and... No, forget it. Let's look at the toy. Now, we remember a Generation 1 Wheeljack, don't we? The ape-based Transformer. Well, I've got to say, he has similarities as regards the length of his arms, because his arms are quite long, as you can see. But they've gone for a completely different take on the character. Now, I could go through... We won't talk about the G1, we won't talk about any other Wheeljacks, we'll just talk about this one. And his character is completely different. He's like some sort of battle-hardened vigilante. He's a bit more like... I'm trying to think, he's a bit more like... what's his name? Depth Charge, maybe? Or he's more of a heavy hitter, isn't he? He gets a reputation that nobody messes with him. So who could we liken that to? Generation 1 type... No, let's not go with Generation 1 type tramp. Well, we should do, really, because his name's Wheeljack. Yeah, but we're moving ahead. Or, you know what? I tried to liken it to a G1 character. I've gone round and round and round in my head, and it doesn't seem to work. So, I could say it's like Ironhide. Okay, he's a reliable fighter, and you know he'll back you up big time, and you've got no worries. When you're with him, you're safe. And I think that's the similarity they're going with the character for him. And it works. I mean, he wouldn't be hanging out with the nerdy team and out and with the Transformer team. He's up there. He could hang around with Hot Rod, Cup and Blur. You know, he could be on their team. You know, he could go around with them. He's that cool. I never really liked Hot Rod, but you know, they were quite a cool team. They were. I mean, there's a lot of comic books or comic graphic novels that were revolved around Hot Rod, Cup and Blur doing what they wanted. And at the end, do you remember the headmasters? They all buggered off together somewhere. It's hilarious. Why am I telling you that? Alright. Let's back to Wheeljack. Now, there's one thing that really bugs me about his character in the show. Well, it's not his character, it's how other people call him. He's called Jackie all the time, and I'm trying to work out, does that work? Jackie. No, it's wrong. Bulkhead calls him Jackie all the time. It's wrong. Don't abbreviate his name. It sounds stupid. It's a girl's name. Good God. So, it doesn't work with me, and that really bugged me. But other than that, his introduction into the show has been pretty good. I haven't actually watched all of the episodes yet, so as to whether he comes back or not, the one that he's introduced in, he's been actually copied by one of their protoforms, and not protoforms, this is Beast Wars, is it? Alright, he's got some sort of morphing bot who looks, or takes on his appearance and tries to infiltrate the Autobots, and Bulkhead, you know, fishes him out because he knows him so well. And he breaks free, and then they face off, and obviously he wins. And that's essentially his introduction into the show. Nice introduction. Other than don't call him Jackie. Okay, so I've given you a brief synopsis of how he appears in the new show. Now let's take a look at the toy. The white plastic is exceptionally good for once. Let me just give you a little look. See? Now usually we get transparent plastic, because white plastic seems to be really hard to reproduce or produce in general for some reason without it being transparent. But they've done a good job with this one. I'm impressed. Yeah, I'm a pest. I really irritate people, but I'm generally impressed as well. And yeah, it's a nice mould. Very long arms. I love the hands. Let's just take a second to look at the hands. They don't move, but they look like they could. Now I know that sounds like a ridiculous statement, but if it's posed on your shelf and it looks like it has a movable hand, I mean, if it does move, you're not going to go up to the shelf and keep going like this all day, are you? You know, look, it moves. Look, it's great. Look, and do that all day. So if it looks like it moves and it doesn't, but it displays well, good, and it does look good. that looked wrong, didn't it, as well? Anyway, he also has, I stopped saying anyway as well, alright, anyway. He has these, you know, homage again, yet again, to the original Wheeljack. I like that. Good on you, Hasbro. You're getting a good from me now. You know, I'm kind of getting scared now. You don't often get that off me. Slightly lacking in detail, as you can probably tell. No Autobot insignia. Would it have been so much to ask to put one there? Now, you're probably going to say to me now, and excuse my ignorance, do they necessarily always have Autobot insignia in Transformers Prime? Because I can't remember, because I haven't seen it for ages, so don't tell anybody I've asked you. But I can't actually remember if they do or not. So, if it's not there for that reason, then I take it back. But if it is there and they haven't bothered, sod you lot for not bothering. So, there we go. And they're giving him lights. Well, we'll get to that on the alt mode. Very posable. Although he does look a bit like Clive Anderson, doesn't he? He's got no neck. Look, I mean, seriously, here, look. Man, look, no neck. I would be mortified if I couldn't move my head independently from my body. So, that's a minor criticism, but it is a criticism, so I thought I'd just throw it out there and see if you agree or not. But that's my very small criticism. We won't go down any more. Other than his feet looks like duck's feet. Well, not necessarily duck's feet, because they're webbed, aren't they? But they just look very unpleasant, don't they look? You know, just look like bits of plastic shoved at the bottom there so he can stand up. They don't really look like feet, do they? No, they don't. So there's no point arguing with me. I don't like them. Okay. He has a samurai... Well, I'm guessing that. Well, actually, they are. I'll tell you for why. If you look at one of them here, you can see a small bit, because the camera's focusing on my big fat face as opposed to the sword, unfortunately. But I kid you not, there is a small amount of engraving, and it doesn't actually say anything, but it's meant to, you know, represent what you would if you had a samurai sword. So I'm guessing they are meant to be samurai swords, and he poses brilliantly with them. He's a mean-looking sod, actually, and I quite like him. Light piping doesn't work, though. You see the back of his head? Yeah, and his eyes. The eyes are so small that really, when you put him up to the light, I'm just doing this for my benefit, it doesn't work. The light piping does not work. I'm just trying it again. Ooh, actually, if you shine a really, really bright light directly behind his head, which I can do later for you to show you what I mean, I'll do it now.
I was almost honest.
See, it does work, but you've got to shine a huge torch behind it. It ceases to be useful, because if he's generally standing there, it doesn't work. It looks like he's got black eyes. Maybe he's been in a fight, you know, and he ain't won. But never mind. Great toy. I love this toy. It's brilliant. I've got an interesting story to tell you about. Do you want to hear it? It was actually how I come to get the toy. You want to hear the story, don't you? Oh, come on. You don't? I'm going to tell you anyway, because I've got some time to kill, so let's get down to the story. I went down to Argos to collect it, and they'd just come out in the shop because I rung up and they'd had a whole lot of them in. Now, if you try and go to Argos at the moment, you will not find any of these toy lines, the $12.99 ones, all sold out. So, I rushed down there. Some bastard had rushed down there. He bought a whole lot of them, all of them but one, and that's the one he hadn't brought. I guessed there was quite a few Wheeljacks and he didn't want any more. So you know what that guy's done, don't you? He's gone on eBay, I would imagine, the second he got home and sold them at a profit. He probably got a markup of 5, 6, 7, 8 quid, something. Then postage and packing, they probably end up being about 22. Man, you scumbag. So yeah, I only just got one. I really wanted, you know, quite a few more than one. Not for selling, for reviewing and posing on shelves, which aren't there at the moment. Sod you, man. So, that was an interesting story from me. You might not have liked it. And one more thing I will note about it is I do like... They aren't just black wheels, look. They look like they're alloys. Nice effect. So, all in all, where does that leave me with the toy as a robot? Excellent robot, very poseable. Shame about the lack of a neck. Arms are quite long, don't like the feet, but good quality plastic. Let's put him in the alt mode quickly, shall we? And what do you think? You know what? It's very reminiscent, isn't it? Of nothing like the original car. I've got to say, it don't really look anything like it. They got the markings right. Yet again, where's the Autobot insignia? But I did say, didn't I, if that's not what they're doing with the new show, then I completely understand. But, you know, if you just couldn't be bothered. But it's a weird looking car, actually. I tell you, I've got a few reservations on it. Let's just be honest with you. Here at the front for a start, look. Well, these whacking great gaps at the front. I know they need that because the actual transformation requires you to slide this forwards and back. But, you know, what you could have done, I guess, is have a little flap that clips back down here, because it looks like somebody's taken 2 scoops out the front of the bumper, doesn't it? And they're not meant to be spotlights. It just looks a bit daft. So, you know, I'm afraid you're going to fall short on that one, and we have a similar problem with the back. There's a bit missing out the back. I mean, what they used to do, isn't it, on the original Transformers, and I know I don't necessarily agree with what they used to do, but this is what they used to do. You'd have a bit that would fit on there, you know, a bit that you would always lose as a kid, a bit that you'd put on the floor and come back and it would be gone, or you just drop it on the floor when you're out of the shop, because you know what you do as kids, you open the toy at the shops and lose bits. Well, that's just probably what I used to do. Anyway, so that's what I think should or could have been done, but isn't. I mean, we're at modern Transformers. They're very poseable, very articulate. They don't have a lot of accessories, which is a good thing because you won't lose them, but it's a bad thing when you have bits like that and you have bits like that. Other than that, what can I say? It's a neat transformation. It's a tight, sporty looking little car, slightly futuristic. It actually, I would say, resembles something that more they would have transformed to on Cybertron, doesn't it? It's very reminiscent of Arrival from Cybertron, what they transformed into. Very similar. A little more streak, you know, sleek, not streak. Blue streak? No, streak. Aerodynamic look, as opposed to the other ones just look like, you know, Thunderbird 4. So there we go. He's a great looking little vehicle with 2 reservations. At least it has a window, see? Which is great. You know, a proper window as opposed to a representation of a window which is either a black sticker or black paint. But he has windows, which is very nice. And the swords do attach whilst in vehicle mode to reproduce one of the most ridiculous looking things I've ever seen. And I will do this. Look, I'm supposed to be looking at you while I'm doing this, but I will do this now quickly. So it's me just vanishing and coming back in. It's the most redundant. You piece. We got there in the end. But what was the point in getting there? It looks like, I don't know, a mammoth? Is he like a mammoth? Or can I be Shredder? No, it really does look like stupid, doesn't it? That's not a good idea. It looks ridiculous. That's not a point in justifying having gaps in the front so you can put his swords on it. Man, that's dumb. Don't like that look. So, I'm needless to say, I will not display him in vehicle mode with his horns, because it just doesn't look right. But, all said aside, it's not a bad little vehicle. A little bit more detail, guys. Come on, look. The wing mirrors here, look. They're just bits of white plastic again. You could have at least, you know, tried to even put a little bit of black there, you know, to represent glass. I mean, it is very scarce on detail. I know on this class of toy, Hasbro will not and do not put a great deal of effort onto the paint job. But, you know, come on. It really is a bit of a lackluster job. Come on, just a little bit more work. A little bit. Compared to some of them that you've done, why am I talking like I'm talking to Hasbro? You're not listening to me, are you? Compared to other toys that have done a better... Here, look. Here, Thundercracker here, look. Thundercracker, the movie one. And I don't like the movie toys, but I quite like this one. Got a nice deal of paint. A really good job they've done of this one. Spot on. This kind of misses the mark. But I still like it. I can't help myself like it. I just can't get over the back, just having a big bit missing out of it. But all said aside, said and done, a good toy. Well worth getting. And now I'm actually going to go off to Argos to see if there's any more, because I've actually looked online today and apparently there's some of the larger class ones up there. So wish me luck. And then I've got to clean the car, but we won't talk about that. That's it. Probably won't see me for a bit because I'll be off again. And take care, guys. Hope this is some interest to you, and see you later.